What is up YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. And we are back on F1 23 today, and we are racing in Canada. But first, before we go into much detail, we had to re-sign a sponsor for today's video. And with the weekly activity, I'm thinking of purely focusing on our driver, because we need Fittipaldi to start scoring points. We need him to start performing in the team, and helping him improve is what we're here to do. With contract extensions coming up quite soon, we need to focus on this. And now, as you can see, with the week passing, we've had a failure on our front wing, and this is not good. We were hoping to bring some big upgrades to Canada, hopefully helping us improve in our race. But this means we can't do it. We don't have enough research points to reschedule the upgrade. We need to go on, and hopefully by the end of the week, before going to Canada, we can do this. Now, we have another failure in our aerodynamics department, which is now, and another failure in our engine department. This is a travesty. Look at that. We have had 3 failures that we needed for today's race. And that's not what we needed. We didn't need this now. But we have limited resource points, so we are going to focus on trying to get the major things upgraded. And now I only have 51 resource points, so we need to do this after practice. Do it after, just before qualifying, because at the moment we don't have enough. So yeah. Now let's look at, there we go. There are 3 failures. We got 2 upgrades completed. It's more on reliability, but we're not focusing on reliability that much. The little upgrades that we do bring help, but yes, we are in Canada. We are in Montreal, guys, and this is probably one of my top 5 favorite tracks. And as we go through the season, I will definitely let you guys know what else is part of that tier list. Now, Canada, very great track. It has 14 corners. It is 4.361 kilometers, and it's one of the quickest tracks on the F1 calendar. And we're going to do our track acclimatization. If you are new to the channel, what track acclimatization is, pretty much we need to hit these corner gates perfectly. And if you hit them at an optimal speed, we get more points. As you can see, I had a massive snap of oversteer there, and I spun the wheels. And that's something you want to try and avoid in that corner. But yeah, the track acclimatization, we have to hit these corner gates perfectly. It also helps you kind of judge where your braking points are and where you can accelerate. And it's very useful when you get to a track. This is the first thing I like to do if we do get this practice program. Just trying to get in tune with the track, trying to learn what I can do and where I can accelerate and where to brake. And that's exactly what you want to do. We've just set the fastest second sector of the lap. This is on the hard tires. This is the hardest tire that we will be using for this race. And this is the first time and the last time that I will put these tires on. Just a little heads up. I don't want to use these tires. Not that they're bad, it's just this track not very heavy on the tires. So you can kind of get away with an alternate strategy. But we'll leave that for the race. Now you can see with the track acclimatization, we're just trying to perfect everything. And then on the last lap of the track acclimatization, we perfected the lap. And we also then set the fastest lap of a 1:13.8, which is perfect. This is going to help us now understand where we need to be in the Grand Prix, or at least where we want to be on track. And we're going out on a set of soft tires. We're trying to see how fast we are on the soft tires. This is not going to be a quali sim that we're trying to create like we did in Spain, but this is just going to be like our understanding of the soft tires come qualifying. This is going to help us. Now you can see I am down in 7th spot. We are 4 tenths up on our previous best, now 6 tenths up, going into sector 2, and here set the fastest first sector, And it honestly feels like we are currently on a flyer, 8 tenths up, approaching this hairpin. And we don't set the fastest second sector, but that's okay because we are almost a second up on our previous best, and there it is, we are a second up. Now getting a good exit out of that corner, you set yourself up for this nice long straight. You're gonna be at a very high speed over here, your gears are gonna be screaming in your ear. Then you're gonna approach the final corner, the final 2 corners. Do not hit the wall of champions. Approaching the finish line, we are currently 1.2 seconds up, and where does it put us? In practice, it puts us P1 with a 1 minute 12.6. Fastest lap of the session. Now, going into Q2, we're going to focus on some race strategies and then also simulating a qualifying lap. Hopefully we do well in it. So let's have a look. Now, with this, again, if you're new to the channel, we are going to run a race strategy. And what the race strategy is, we're just trying to hit optimal pace. This is going to help calculate how much fuel we're putting in the car and how our tire wear is acting. So this is going to kind of adjust our strategy. If we are hard on our tires, we're going to get a strategy where we might need to pit more. If we aren't too bad with tire wear, then we should be good. Now, we were setting some flying laps on our race strategy, so I was fairly happy with it. And when we go to the pit, we will actually see that our tire wear isn't as bad as what we were expecting it to be. I thought maybe the tire wear will be quite bad, and there we have it. We are above the curve, which is perfect. This is what we wanted. And also you can see we aren't using a lot of fuel, and that is also another plus for us because it means we can kind of underfuel the car and we will be fine. But again, trying to manage that in the race. Now, going on our flying lap for practice 2. This is now where we are going to try and replicate a qualifying lap, and you can see we are already 5 tenths up on our previous best. We just set the fastest first sector. Coming out of turn 7, I kind of went on the grass there, but I didn't compromise my lap too much. We are 9 tenths up, now approaching turn 8 and turn 9. Getting this right, getting a good exit out of turn 9 sets you up for turn 10, which is the hairpin. Currently 1.2 seconds up, heavy braking zone, hit this hairpin, downshift to second gear, get a good exit here. You don't want to get wheel spin. We do touch the wall, but it's okay. We're going to carry on. We're 1.2 seconds up on our previous best. Now, approaching this DRS zone. We have 3 DRS zones in Canada. DRS is wide open, approaching turn 13, turn 14. Try not hit the wall of champions, keeping it clean, nice and tight. DRS again, wide open. We are 1.7 seconds up, and we have just set the fastest lap of a 111.4. And that sets us up for a very, very good qualifying position. We could potentially take pole again, and that is what we want. I see we are almost a second up from the guys behind us, which was quite shocking for me. But now we are going to focus on those upgrades. We need to fix this. We want to try and get these upgrades before Austria, and that's what we're doing right now. We're getting these major upgrades in. We want to be at our best. We want to give our teammate a car that he can also fight for some points. We need to start performing in this championship. And now you can see we have some big developments in. We've got 3 major parts and 1 minor part. This is going to help us in the long run. Heading into qualifying, this is going to be an exciting qualifying because with our pace that we saw in practice, we're hoping to replicate that here in qualifying. To be able to perform at that level is going to be our goal. And now we can see it is quite dark outside. There are heavy clouds, and with this, there's a threat of rain, which I don't want. We're going to go out as quickly as possible, and the first lap that we set wasn't the best, so we are going to go for another lap. We're going to go for another flyer. We ended up being P3 with a 112.9. Wasn't happy with that time, so we go out again. See if we can improve. We are currently 5th. Now exiting turn 2, again, you don't want to have wheel spin or snap of oversteer. That's what happened in the last lap, and you can see by just correcting that, I am 6/10 up. Then approaching turn 3 and turn 4, I get a track limit warning, which is not good from my side. That was quite risky. Now approaching turn 6, exiting turn 7, you want to get a good exit here. DRS is going to be open right now. I'm a little slow on it, but I've just set the fastest first sector, 8/10 up on our previous best. Is this going to get us to Q2? But we will have to wait to see at the end of the lap. Now approaching turn 10, the hairpin, downshift all the way to second gear. You want to get a good rotation. I had a little bit of oversteer on the car there. I lost some time, but it's fine. We carry on. DRS open right now. Up into 8th gear, all the way down to turn 13. Gears screaming in your ear. Now downshift all the way to 4th, getting a good rotation, avoiding turn 14, the wall of champions. We are going to approach the line. We are currently 1 second up on our time. And where does it put us? It gives us a 1:11.8. This means we are currently first, and by that, we are going to call it. We don't go out again. Lando Norris does end up setting the fastest lap for Q1, but we are safe for Q2. Heading into Q2, we're going to put on a banker time. I'm putting on some old soft tires because that's what we do. We like to set a banker time just to see how much we can improve. And honestly, guys, this was probably the best lap of qualifying. This lap that we set in Q2 was the best lap that we had put in qualifying by far on used set of tires, which I was really shocked by. Verstappen just put in a 1:12.7. I'm pretty sure he is on a used pair of soft tires. We are 4/10 up on Verstappen with the fastest first sector. Now DRS is open up into 8th gear, approaching turn 8 and turn 9. Making sure you get a good exit out of turn 9. You want to try and avoid as much as possible to get any track limit warnings. It's very easy to get them at this track. Approaching turn 10, downshift all the way to 2nd, a good rotation. I'm a little wide on the turn in of turn 10. Getting a good exit out of turn 10, DRS wide open right now. We're in the final sector, so you want to use up all the energy left in your car. Approaching turn 13, heavy braking zone, downshift to 4th gear. Get a good exit, avoiding turn 14's wall, the wall of champions. Approaching the finish line. And where does it put us? It puts us P1 with a 1:11.6 on a used set of tires. What a lap. And honestly, I don't think we're going to do any better. Well, we can do better, but I don't think anyone is going to do much to try and derail us. So we do only set that one lap. And now we're heading into Q3. This is going to tell us where we are for the race. And you can see there's a little bit of rain forecasted, so I'm going out. It is on a used set of tires. I did decide, okay, the used tires work quite nicely in Q2, but let's see how they do in Q3. They didn't do too great. You can see I put in a 1:12.6, and now we are on a set of fresh rubber and already 2/10 up on our previous best, approaching turn 6 and turn 7. We didn't have the greatest first sectors. I think we could have done a lot better than what we did, but we are currently 3/10 up, approaching turn 8 and turn 9, getting a good exit here. We are now 5/10 up, qualifying is complete. More importantly, we don't see anyone setting fastest laps, so this could mean that we are in for a possible pole position. Get a good exit out of turn 10. Now we are 8/10 up, approaching the DRS zone. DRS wide open, up into 8th gear, all the way down, using up all the energy. Charles Leclerc had just put in a 1:11.4. That is the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Approaching turn 13, turn 14, avoiding the wall of champions. Now, 1.1 seconds up. Is this going to be enough for pole position? And where does it put us? It gives us P2. We had just missed out on pole position if we had just put in a better first sector. And look at the time. It's 5/100ths of a second off of Charles Leclerc. That was our best lap of qualifying. We could have done better. We could have definitely been on pole. I'm sure the car had another 2/10 in it, but that is it for qualifying, and we need to now focus on the race.
Here in Montreal, Lights Out is quickly approaching on this artificial island originally built for the World Fair in 1967. Now it's used for a World's Fair of a different kind, ever since Formula One first arrived here. We're back in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. It's one of the fastest races of the season here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 60% of this 2.7-mile circuit taken at full throttle. There are 14 corners to navigate, the very last of which has its very own infamous history and could be the cause of a safety car today. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position and Iceman completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Russell, Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Albon, Oscar Piastri, Fittipaldi, Gasly, Bottas, Joe, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Ocon, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? That was a great podium in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
And that is the classification for the Canadian Grand Prix, guys. We are starting P2. I think we have a good line here. We're going to have a look at the strategy. I think we are going to go with the default strategy, go on medium, and then go to hard. This is going to help us for the race. And everyone is on hard tires, and it's lights out, and away we go for the Canadian Grand Prix. We don't get the best start, but we're going to dive down the inside of Charles Leclerc. Let's have a look from his perspective, trying to avoid as much contact as possible. And there we have it. It's a close battle. We have made a little bit of contact with Charles Leclerc, but we do end up securing P1 in this Grand Prix, as you can see. Now, getting a good exit here, almost corner cutting. Everyone is on hard tires, so we need to try and break away from their DRS zone and try and cement ourselves as the victor for the Canadian Grand Prix. But let's have a look. Charles Leclerc is 6 tenths behind me, but he is catching ever so slightly. The slipstream works wonders at this track, but it means you do need to be careful. You're going to be using a lot of your overtake. Approaching turn 10, getting a good exit out of here is going to be crucial to trying to break this DRS when it eventually does come on lap 3. And we are 7 tenths in front of Charles Leclerc. We are currently leading the pack of the Canadian Grand Prix. Leclerc in second, Hamilton third, Sainz fourth, and Russell fifth. That is rounding up your top 5 for this Grand Prix. Wall of Champions almost hitting the wall there. It would have been a race ender, but we managed to save our car. Charles Leclerc is trying to come back at us, but we managed to just fend off. But there is a little bit of contact, and we do have some floor damage. Another race with floor damage. We need to manage our damage now, and this just seems to be ridiculous. Almost every race we are getting damage on the floor. Now on lap 5, Hamilton has overtaken Charles for P2. He is 1.7 seconds behind us. We are just trying to manage our gap to the guys behind us. We don't want Hamilton catching us, but luckily Charles Leclerc is quite far behind, and there's a safety car, and there's a red flag. There's been an incident on track, which means there's been a red flag. Let's have a look at what has happened to cause this red flag in a moment. And let's have a look here. Red flag session. Here we go. It's Alonso, I think. He's just spun the car and he's caused a massive pile up at turn 10, and that's what can happen. Now, looking at our strategy, we're going to go for the medium tires to the softs. We want to be rapid at the end of the race. Hopefully this pans out. All of us are on medium tires, and it is lights out, and we are underway for the Canadian Grand Prix yet again on lap 8. Getting a good start, a much better start than our first lap, trying to keep it as clean as possible. We don't want to cause any collisions or have any track violations. We need to keep it clean, almost hitting the wall there. But now with everyone being on the same tire, this is going to make it a lot more difficult for us because we don't have the fastest car. If we had the fastest car, it would be much easier for us to just break away from the pack and then shoot off into the distance, but we don't. We are probably the fifth best team, or the fifth fastest team on the grid at the moment, maybe even sixth with those upgrade fails. Hamilton is coming at us, but we managed to fend him off. Again, going a little wide there because I misjudged my braking zone with him on the inside. I didn't want to cause any collision. Get a good exit out of turn 10. And yeah, with the failures that we had, it does mean that our race becomes a lot more difficult. You know, with the tire offset, it was quite easy. We managed to hopefully break away like we did with them being on the hard tires. But now, on lap 10, Hamilton is right on our tail. He is currently 4/10 behind us. I fear the inevitable is going to happen. He is now 2/10. He gets an amazing exit out of turn 7, which means he can attack us. And let's have a look from his perspective. He overtakes us. It looked so easy, and here we have it. Trying to avoid as much contact as possible. We do touch wheels ever so slightly, but with Charles Leclerc, I have to use as much overtake. I didn't want to cause any unnecessary damage. I tried to stay with Hamilton, but it was very difficult. We just didn't have the pace that we were hoping to have. You know, with the engine failures that we had, the engine upgrades that didn't come through, and also the aerodynamics that also failed, you know, it just made the race so much more difficult, and we were hoping to put on a better performance. But on lap 21, you can see he is 2 seconds ahead of us. Russell now is P3, Leclerc P4, and Verstappen P5, rounding up the top 5 of this Grand Prix. Hamilton dives into the pit now. This means we need to push. We are on lap 22 at the moment. We will only pit at the end of lap 23, and here we have it. We are coming into the pits. Hamilton is quite close. He is going to retake the lead of the Grand Prix. I think our strategy has let us down because we will be coming out behind Verstappen. But on fresher tires, their tires are maybe a lap or two older than ours, and we are on the faster tire. We are going to go on the soft tire. We needed to do a soft run because we had put on a medium and then another medium. If we didn't do this, we would have been disqualified from the race, and that's not what we want. We have to use 2 different compound tires. Now we are in 5th place. We are going to try and attack Verstappen here, and here we go. At the end of lap 24, we are right behind Verstappen. We are 4/10, 3/10, up into overtake. DRS wide open. We're going to dive down the inside of Verstappen, and here we have it. Almost making contact, but avoiding it. He gets a little bit of oversteer, and we secure P4, now chasing down the Ferrari drivers. We want to at least end P2 in this Grand Prix, because that's where we started. We could have won this Grand Prix if we had a faster car. Now on lap 28, we had started catching the Ferrari drivers. But the biggest issue for us now is the fact that Carlos Sainz has DRS on his teammate, which meant that it made it even more difficult for us to overtake him, because whatever we did, when we got closer, we just couldn't attack him because he had the DRS, and we just were too far back to make a dive on him. And this was probably the hardest part of the Grand Prix for us, because P2 is in reach. It's right there, but we just couldn't do it. And eventually Charles Leclerc had got on with his race and he left his teammate behind. This meant I could attack Carlos Sainz. On lap 32 now, we are going to have a good exit out of turn 10, a much better exit than Carlos Sainz, up into overtake. DRS is going to be wide open, up into 8th gear. He's trying to defend the position, but we will secure P3 in this Grand Prix, and there we have it. On lap 32, we make a move for the final podium spot. Now we just need to manage our tires and our gap to Carlos Sainz for the rest of this Grand Prix. We do not want to lose the final podium spot. We are on a massive charge in this championship now with our upgrade. Charles Leclerc is 2.2 seconds in front of us, but I do not know if we have the tires to catch him. And we are now on the final lap. Let's have a look. 2.2 seconds, 2.1 seconds behind us, and we might not be able to catch him, but it's okay. We ended up P3, not the position we wanted, going from P1, starting P2, leading the race to now P3. This could have been a lot better if we maybe didn't have the red flag, because we were building our gap quite nicely, or maybe this is where we would have ended. Now the guys behind us were catching us. If they had another lap, we would have probably lost the final podium spot, but that's okay, because this is the final classification for the Canadian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton does win this Grand Prix. He was in reach, but with a few mistakes from our side, strategy-wise, we kind of let ourselves down. But we're happy that it's P3. We're on the podium spot. We are fighting. We are back fighting for this championship. We might not win it, but we can pressure the guys up in front, and Lewis Hamilton does win the Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc comes second, and myself third. Congratulations to Mercedes for winning the Canadian Grand Prix, and that is the Canadian Grand Prix. We have finally started to see some of the performance that we wanted to see. We are currently P6 in the Constructors and in the Drivers' Championship, and as you can see here, Sergio Perez did end up DNFing, so this means that we are getting closer to him. And also there's a 1 point difference between Mercedes and Red Bull for the Constructors title. But thank you so much for watching, guys. That is it for our video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace. Cheers, guys.
With more Formula One.